It's funny because you brought up Michael Corrin at the beginning of the show, and he's somebody who did like a complete 180. I think he's going to be a trans hijabi before his final transformation is done.
Please, I scare easy.
Anyway, these people who change their spots for political gain. Let's talk about Charles Adler, one of the Sun News gang too. Charles Adler, broadcaster from Manitoba, was a conservative, and then he sort of became like a reasonable anti-conservative conservative. You see those guys happening all the time in the United States, and he thought, I should do that too. I'll be the Romney. And so he decided that he was going to be the safe conservative that runs cover for all of the bad liberal ideas. See, like, I'm a conservative and I like this liberal idea, so you should like it too. And so that got him a Senate appointment after he railed against Senate, like the unelected Senate. Like, he made it like his reason for being at some point, entire monologues on this stuff. Anyways, continuing on his hypocritical streak, Charles Adler, Uncle Chuck, as he used to call himself on the radio, a Liberal Senate appointee who denounced conservative critics as cold-blooded on climate change, jetted home each weekend to Winnipeg for no official reason. Accounts show Senator Charles Adler of Manitoba had called global warming the leading issue of our time, but yesterday, wouldn't you know it, had no comment. He said, no matter how much I read, I never feel I understand enough about the issue of our time, climate change. That's because there's nothing to understand outside of the fact that it's a wealth transfer, Uncle Chuck. Anyways, that was from a 2023 commentary in the Winnipeg Free Press. That was before his appointment to the Senate, but that was like his application paper to the Senate. By the way, he wasn't just accidentally appointed. You had to apply, considered a Liberal senator, and then there's a panel of Liberal appointees who appoint you then as an independent senator after everybody has been selected by the Liberal Party of Canada. So Mr. I'm Against the Senate actually put his own name forward to be appointed to the Senate, and he got a $184,000 a year appointment to the Senate by Trudeau just a year later. He billed for repeated round trips. And this is a guy who said the Senate is unaccountable. They waste money. They have these outrageous expense accounts. Well, he billed for repeated round trips 13 in 14 weeks. He only missed one weekend to spend weekends at his Winnipeg home. He left on Thursday. Of course, nothing but a long weekend for these guys. He left on Thursday and returned on Monday or Tuesday to take a seat in the Senate. 44,000 kilometers by air. Does that take you to the surface of the moon? I'll have to do the math later. His travel expenses over 13 weeks, $42,000, roughly the salary of an average Canadian.
You know, maybe it is a moon flight. I'll have to check with astronaut Katy Perry, who recently jettisoned Justin Trudeau. But, you know, Sheila, I could react with anger, as you are, and point out hypocrisy, but I'm overcome by another emotion, and it's heartbreak, because back in the day, I loved Charles Adler. I was a frequent guest on his Sun News Network show. Every Friday, I was on his Chorus radio program, which went coast to coast. And by the way, that hour, I understand, was the highest rated hour of radio for his show. And I mean, I even showed up to the airport to pick him up. You know, I genuinely like Charles Adler. And you know what? All I can think of, you're in a sunset industry.
Chorus, it's that, a penny stock.
Yeah, and you need a parachute, and money talks, and you know what walks. But what I try to do so I don't go crazy, Sheila, and it's not just Charles Adler, there's others. I put myself in a compartment to 13 years ago. And I think of how good it was then and how different they were then. And that's my happy space. I know that sounds touchy-feely hippie talk, but it's just so heartbreaking for me to see this kind of thing happening right in front of my eyes. I mean, some of his tweets when Trudeau was in office, before he was appointed in the Senate, maybe this was what was motivating the tweets. I agree with my prime minister 100%.
Sure. That's a application. That's part of his resume to get into the Senate. And yeah, I mean, when you work for a company that's a penny stock, when he did at Chorus, and I mean, I guess the moral of the story is some people will do anything for money. Yeah. Some people will do anything for money. And but however, I am sad that you are living in denial about the kind of person that he is.
am.
I see it clearly.
I do. You know what? If I get, here's the question. Maybe one day in the future, and this will say everything, I will bump into Charles Adler. Maybe it'll be outside the Senate in Ottawa. And what would be interesting, I would still approach him. I would still shake his hand. You know what, Sheila? I just have a bad feeling that he might just, turn his back and go the other way. I'm not saying he'll do that. I just think I might be looked upon as an undesirable, that he can't be seen. And that's even more heartbreaking. I'm telling you, it's like, it's like losing a good friend.
No, I think you should be grateful that you know exactly who and what he is. I think you should be glad for that, because you're wasting your emotions on somebody. I think that, given that he would jettison everything he ever said, he's jettisoned himself. He's jettisoned himself for money. You think he wouldn't do it to you? Of course he would.
But, Sheila, earlier in the show, you broadcast that you are a spiteful person. And by the way, spiteful. I want to appreciate the honesty. I want to appreciate the honesty. I know you've got some really heavy duty bows and arrows on the homestead. So should I ever come to Casa Gun Read, I'll be on my best behavior.
Just don't cross me. And you know what? The thing is, I'm spiteful and I can be conniving. So I might not get you today, but I'll get you. I'll get you eventually. And sometimes all I have to do is keep my mouth shut and the world will get you. And then you have to live with knowing that I know.
Yeah, I guess it's like those old Midas muffler ads. You can pay me now or pay me later. And when you pay later, usually it's a whole lot more.
Exactly.